So everyone, welcome back for our day 9 in our core Java training. Yesterday's session, we were taking a peek look into how array works, and we started to use arrays for how we can store information. And went about introducing you to the OOPS concepts, the very basic fundamentals of it, and created some simple classes to work with. So let's take a quick look at it, team, and move forward. So here is how we created the arrays team, where we said instead of having any information that is stored as independent variables, for each user I can have content like this. So data I can always change here or do any modifications to it. So what is the primary difference then between, actually this is also pretty much relevant. Yeah, let me show you on this diagram. So variables I can use to store one variable at a time with value in it. With an array team, I can store more set of information in it, and each one is called by its index or position. So if I say v user 2, it is going to the third position, 0, 1, 2. The same thing, then why do we need objects? Objects primarily because you have data around it and you have methods around it. That is very important for us to understand. So when we created a simple object like a box, and this was the simplest things for us to understand, and in this class I created by myself a couple of things here, team. Here is my main method, but before that I have some variables created here and a method called getArea. Now whenever I create an instance of that box, it loads for me. These are the arguments for that object and what are the methods that it can perform. Now to be able to clearly understand, let us separate them into separate things, so that way we can easily relate with it. Any other different type of an object that we can create. So here I'll just create a new class, and we working on box cars. Let's do the bank itself, team. Bank class. Okay, so I'll just say bank bank account. Okay. Now look at how I build this class. Think of it like a template team. So every bank account will have a large what would I have? I'm getting confused. Account number, and it would also have account balance, and I'll say account status, for example. Okay. Now these are my class arguments. So every object will be having this content. So think of it like a factory. So if this machine comes, it comes with these parameters that you can work with. Now, what can I do in a bank account? I can say public void get balance, for example. And to get balance, how do I get my balance from it? And I'll say add balance. We've done this right team earlier, but now see how we're creating some templates as we're advancing it. then I'll say change or lock account. Okay. Now get balance, what it means. So think now this structure is very important. So we've created a class. In this class, these are my 3 arguments. So any object will have those things, like a box has a height, width, and length. And there are 3 methods that we are willing to execute on. So each of them will be working on one object at a time whenever we do it. So if I want that specific object's data, so I will just print here and say balance is plus this dot v balance. So when I say this team, it refers to that instance. Why do I mean that? You will know it once we start accessing that account again. Please focus on this OOPS concept team. It is very easy to get confused. We will come to the access modifiers and a lot about encapsulation polymorphism in the next sessions. But before this, we'll have to cover this. Now, how does an add balance work? I will say old balance is, then look what I will do. This dot v balance plus equals whatever I send here. Let us say I send it as an integer and I send v balance to add, or just v add plus v add, and then new balance is this dot v balance. So there's an old balance and there's a new balance. Now let us say this is all it is. What we have done is created a template. Now in the same package, in the same structure, any of my programs can start working with bank account. So how does that mean? If I open up a new one here and say new Java class J27 underscore bank 1, and this is my main method. See, in my class, the bank account, there is no main method here, team. So if you execute this by itself, there's nothing to run. Now J27 has my main method. Now look at what I do. The same thing, I can just say bank account B1 equals new bank account. Now this line has basically created an account called B1 or A1. So A1 dot will have those 3 variables that you see here. And if I say add balance or get balance, it will have the values in it. So if I say A1 dot get balance, let us see what comes out. Actually, first let's add balance. And let's say I add 200 to it. And now let's execute this. So earlier, now do you see team? Do you think it's working? So earlier it was null and there was no balance in it. And that becomes a problem team for us. So by default, we don't have anything that assigns a value to a team. So what I can do, constructor parameter in this case. I'll tell you what's happening. See, the initial value was null, like nothing in it. And when I say add 200, it thought that's a string, add 200 string. Now this is the one. If I again repeat these two things, okay, now notice what will happen. It'll just keep appending to it. It will not think to add them anymore. So what you need to do is start with saying A1 dot V balance equals 0 team. That's what we will start with saying. Now, this is given as a string, not the string. So here we're just working with integers. So I'll put it as an integer. And now it won't have that issue. So it starts with a 0. And I can add balance, I can get balance, and I can continue to work on A1. That is one objective. Similarly, I could create another account called B1. Okay, or rather, sorry, A2. A2, let us start the balance with something more. Let's say 300. And then if I add 200, get balance, add, and so on. So here I am now maintaining two accounts team. So please get this from a diagram perspective. Where am I? So one class, it has a few arguments, 1, 2, 3. You can do a couple of activities or methods. When I take this and say create an object out of it, everything in that now starts falling in place for it. And each one has its own set of data in terms of the arguments, and you can keep on working on them. So your class does not have to be sitting with your main code as long as it is in the same package. If it moves to a different package, that's when we start doing our imports. We'll come to this. But this is a simple way to keep creating it. Now let us say we want to take this to an advanced stage. Each time whenever we were creating a new balance, okay, or new account, right, I want to do certain things. So that is where I will say the same name. I'll say public. It's not going to return anything. Bank AC and integer V balance. And all I will do here, this VBal, actually, start balance, I'll say, equals V start balance. So whatever is there, and this is called the constructor thing. Please note how it works. On line 5, we are creating a new bank account called A1. So when we're creating it, why should I put balance in a separate one each time? Instead of that, I can send that data here as an input to it. That's called a constructor. So a constructor, basically, whenever you're creating the class, it gets executed. Gets executed when creating the class. So here I can say creating a new bank account, and I haven't done anything on the account membership. Added funds plus V balance. That has my new funds in. So whenever I create this now, and let's say this is how I want to show. So each time, and I go back to my program and rerun this. It's taking only one argument during the construction itself. Oops. Did it do anything? Creating a new bank account. Okay. So added funds, 0, done. Then it's creating another new bank account. So each time it is helping us do this. Let's print a line using escape character /n at the beginning. That way it goes into printing next line. Okay. So what am I trying to show here? Let's rerun this again. It's running J27 in this bank. So we're creating new accounts, adding funds, and we are able to do things. You can also do transfer of funds. Let's try that if that can work. How do I say from which to which account? A1 dot add balance. But A1 won't be here. I'm just thinking of the logic team. So what I want to do is transfer from one account to the other. Logic that I have in mind is this. Transfer balance, V balance. Actually, I'll just have to say which to which. So in this case, I send the entire. Let me try and write this logic team so that I can explain it to you all. So A dot, I'm not doing any validations in this case team. What if the balance is low? What if the balance is more? Let it go into negatives. Dot add balance. So I'm transferring from A to B. And I also have to say the amount, right? So int C, that's the amount. Add balance C. And on the next account, B dot add balance minus C. So we're removing from it. And if I need to transfer them, I need to say, I can't call it as is, I can make it static. I thought this will be a simpler one to explain before I can go into a few things, but let's see. Actually, I know transfer balance will go from this itself to another account, right? So I'm transferring balance from mine. So I don't need two accounts. So bank account 2 is here. To account in transfer amount. So this to account is there. From my account, this dot add balance I will reduce, and to account dot add balance plus C in this case. To account add balance transfer amount, sorry. Transfer. So the logic will be, let us say from A1, I want to transfer balance to another account. So I have to say, so to which account? There is only one other object of that type, that is A2. And here, let us say I want to transfer, how much does A1 have? At the end of it, it will have 400. And this has 500, 700, 400, 700. I want to transfer 250 from A1 to A2. Let's say this works. Old balance, okay. New balance is 950. Where is this coming from? Transferring funds. I see. Old balance. Very nice. So look at how this is coming along, team. Now, if my account had a name, okay, so I can always print balance is old balance for which account. So I am transferring funds. I don't need to see the new balance here. It basically is fine, is only not to show too much. Avoid showing secure content. Let me explain this code to everyone. The structure of this is very important, team, what we have. I'm not using account and status so far. Those two attributes have been pretty much empty for us. So the first is we created this class, right, T? So let's write down what we have in the class. Class bank account. Attributes are account name, balance, and status. The methods that we can run on them are get balance, add balance, transfer balance. Okay. So every object that follows this, say if I say A1 equals to bank account, not the exact rating, it's like this. Write a lot of code, team. They're going to ask you in every interview almost. Bank account A1 equals to new. A1 is now an object with all the above. And I said this dot refers to the current object in the code. Now going back here, what is transfer balance doing, team? When I said this dot, that means on my current object. Where am I calling this transfer balance from? Look at it. I'm calling this transfer balance from A1 dot transfer balance. Now, if I say A2 dot transfer balance, sure. And I'll give back what A1 gave and the amount 250. So we kind of may end up with where we started. Okay. Now, what is critical out here, team, is the fact that each of these attributes and each of these methods are related to each object. So here, this dot in this code here, add balance, we call the add balance method for A1 object first. Next time when I'm calling it, it is calling it for A2 dot transfer balance. In that first I'm adding a balance, just subtracting it, that way it is taking it out. And then to which account do I want to send it to? That I'm sending it as a bank account by itself. So whatever input I have to give, team, it must go in as an integer, string, boolean, double, array, or a type of an object. So now this 2AC is nothing but in the first time A2. So whenever I say now in here 2AC, I'm seeing all the content that I want from A. Okay, team? So that is why when I am printing balance and all that, bank account is created, add balance, I'm saying this dot balance. Get balance also, I'm saying this dot balance. So it's always on that object at that time. What is it that we want to do? Okay. Log account, we didn't do anything. So that's my class, and here is the simple code to go through executing it. Now, I wanted to show a few more variations on this. Any questions, team, on what we are doing? I want to show, this is one of the most important assignments. If you can go back and look at the video, it should give you a plenty of insight. Have you done any string operations, team? Math, we did a few, I see, but not all the different type of math operators. I think those are important in general because as we keep going along, you will know what we can do with what. And there are a few exercises that I would love to give based on them, team. Did I do strings here anywhere? No, I don't think I did. So let's keep our classes as is. Let's take some more content as knowledge and come back to finishing our OOPS team. This is the basic concept of OOPS. Now comes in terms of access modifiers and how do we go about creating this in a much more secure manner. Okay. We still have another 7-8 sessions overall in core Java. I thought I'll do a small one, but I believe that we should keep going in this. So let's do a little deviation J28 and this for strings. So for us, what is very important, team, is all of these are helping us to store data. So if I say I have string S1 equals to hello to a new world, that is primarily my declaration and initialization. Now, when I say S1 dot, there are plenty of commands that we could interact with and do on a type called string team. Just like how you saw in any class, there are inbuilt methods that you can perform on strings. So the simplest one that I want to show you where you can start looking at and navigating through them is if I say S1 dot length, it will print the whole length for me. So I'll just say length. Int L1 equals to so on. So length is plus L1. Now team, please, when you're doing these exercises, I want you to practice typing and writing it, right? Please don't do just in terms of watching the code and moving forward. There'll be a lot of difference, team, when you put your hands on. Lance won't stop even. So now, as I increase the string, do I have spaces or not, bleeding or trailing? For it does not matter. S1 dot length will get me the entire length of it. So I could now do so many things with it. One of the simpler things is to do things like, let me put it into an array, or let's do uppercase S1 dot to lowercase. And if I print it, it will print that entire string with everything in the lowercase t. It doesn't change the main S1 by itself unless I say S1 equals S1 dot to lowercase. This time it will permanently change that value. But if I do this, permanent change only applicable where used. Now the same I could do an S1 dot to uppercase. Let's run this. So here are my new strings, all converted to lower, all converted to upper. You can always talk about which one you want to be picking where and so on. You could do things like, let's say, so S1 dot trim. Trim basically, and this help also that you would get team as you do of a lot of libraries, returns the string that substring on the string. The substring begins with the character at the specified index and extends to the end of the string. So let's see what it returns for me, team. This will be interesting. S1 dot trim. It should lose the spaces out for me, everyone. So there you go. And I don't know if there are spaces at the end. Do you notice? If I do a selection here, you can see there are 2 spaces here, 2 spaces here, none in the last one. Leading and trailing white spaces. Now there's something else that you could do, team. You could, if I'm not wrong, this is so S1 of 5. I'm going to print this, team. I'm mixing it up with Python a little bit. What am I trying to do? Print this. Let's do in the meanwhile. String x2, and this will come out as an array then. Equals s1 dot split at a space. By default, I think it will give us a space. So what this does, team, is it is going to print everything, but it is split it at the space for us. So how that works means it will take hello into a word, 2 into 1, a new world. Each of them, it is going to take it into one collection team. So at this point, my data is not showing up for me as is, but if I know, I could print s2 dot length of my array, then I know how big it is. Then I can go through it and I can print one word at a time. I equals to 0, I less than s2 dot length I plus plus. Now notice how the data is going to, like into the arrays. When I'm splitting, it will give me multiple results. It will not give me one data, not one string. And hence, I'm using an array in this case to be able to load that information. So this becomes my s2 dot length. And now what I'm doing is let's print s2 of I. And it should be getting me the value of each and every word in what we have, one editor. There are also 2 blanks team that we gave, so it's also printing those, I believe. You could do replace team, like s1 dot replace is the replace old characters with new characters. So here, let us say I want to replace new with whole new across the string. And let's print this one again. And if you don't want to keep printing team, you can always debug and see what is coming across. Welcome to a whole new world. And here, even if I have this new world for all. So now I have new coming in two places, Steve. And oh, it didn't replace for the first time also. S1 equals S1 dot replace. Now let's try. Well, hello to a whole new world. Hope this whole new world does better for all. So whatever you want to replace, team, be it a character, be it a string, you can use a replace command to be able to get over it. Now, let's say you want to do something to do with things like palindrome. So any number of word that you see, team, when you look at it in or out, can be considered to be a palindrome, to be if them matched to be the same. I want you to try this code, team, how we can create a program for this palindrome. Where did I go now? Okay. So if I have a string s1 equals 2020, is this a palindrome, team? This is not, because if I take a mirror image of it, it does not look exactly like the same. If I do an S2 and I say 2000, 20,202, then maybe. So S1 dot reverse is there. Let me see. It's Java string reverse. This is string in Java. Okay. Should be a pretty old one. String builder. How is Java print string then character. Okay. Then I'm not going to do. So this basically character at and index of is giving us that overall thing for these strings in general. So I say for int index so and so s2 dot or s1 dot length and index plus plus, and here s1 dot character of that index at each time. So that is what we're using. It is the character value of the specified index in that position. So we're going, since I already know that length, and I should be able to print one character at a time in this case. So that's how the entire thing ends towards the one character. Now, how do we apply that to get it into a palindrome is one option. So if you search for Google, you'll get a lot of options. I want you to think of logic, everyone, and see what you could do to make a palindrome happen in your code. There should be plenty of solutions. See as to what is some of the best ones. I'm not sure if I did some of all the math basic common functions team. Just quickly want to show them as well. Not many of them. Important to know. So team, when it comes to numbers, there's a lot that we could do. And there are math library also that we could get and work and so on. Actually, I'm just thinking, any other questions, team, so far? I'm seeing most of you being very quiet. So I don't know how much of these programs have you grasped so much, or so far rather. Team, how is it going from your end? We've almost completed 8-9 sessions. Okay, I'm assuming everything is okay, teams. Let's proceed with that then. Let's say I take a couple of numbers, team, and let's do some double in this case. Let's have number A, comma B, and let's put A equals to 10.12, B equals to 243. Now, each of these have values in them, team, and these are our variables. So they're inbuilt math operators that you could do on any combination of numbers, team. So for example, I could do things like, let's say I have integers a, I comma j, and I equals to 2 and j equals to 3. So if I say math dot power of P or W will give me the power result of 2 to the power of 3 t. So 2 to the power of 3 is 2 into 2 into 2, that is 8, is what I should be able to expect. So this is I and J. And this should be giving us a result. I could print and say, this is what I'm getting as my first output. So it's giving us a result for almost anything that we would ask team, all within this library. So let's say math dot square root or square root of, in this case you only have to send one number, and let's say just send j, and let's rerun this, and 1.732 is the value. But the same one, if I send for something like 25 as a hard-coded number, I know that I'll get 5 dots. Okay. So that's my square root function. And sometimes you want to create a random number team. So in a random number creation, you need to know the range. So all that it will do is, if I say math dot random, it will give me I don't know how many decimals, but a number between 0.0 and 1.0 each time t. So if I say math dot random and just there's no input that's going into it, and each time the value would come out differently for us. So it's given me 0.94. I rerun this, I'll get a different one. And in fact, if I put it into a simple for int k equals 1, k is no, n k plus plus. Easy to feel lazy team to keep on typing the same code over and over again. Please do it. So here I want to print 10 times the random number. So I should be able to see a very large number coming in each time. And some are very small, some are large, and so on. So what if I need a number from 0 to 100? Then what you'll do, you'll take that number and multiply that by 100. And you can do a round off. So for example, if I do here, so math dot round of a double. See, I already have a number here 10.12345678. Okay, with 8 decimals. And let's say round A at number 2 to 4 decimals. What did I do wrong? No argument to mismatch. Round. It's completely rounding it. Let's see again. Here I'm able to give the decimals. It is the closest long to the result of the argument is detected, minimum value. Okay. I'm just saying it's just rounding it to positive numbers. What will it give me back then? 0.0? Returns the value of the argument rounded to the nearest long value. So it's no longer giving me a decimal team. Hence, I just need to take one value into it. And in this case, it's only going to give me rounded. So I think the third print statement or something should be 10. There you go. Let's see how to round to Java. Round decimal double to 3 decimal places. Okay. See it is. Okay. That's the 5 digits precision. The number of zeros indicates the number of decimals by D. So we're basically taking that value, multiplying it by number of zeros, so many thousand, and again dividing before we rounding it, dividing. So that's rounded. Here I'll say A. So math.round. Let's print this. At least there's no syntax error here, team. Let's run. Team might just have a hard stop at 7. Let's run how this works and see, and then we'll see. There you go, team. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What happened to 5? Did you notice that? Oh, sorry, it was rounded off till 5. So the 5 became 6 for us, and it gave us 5 decimal spaces. So that's up to 5, 6. So here we are multiplying it by 1000 as a D is decimal team, so that it doesn't become an integer. They're less than that. If they're more, it doesn't care. So it will take that away. And then again dividing it. So I'm getting the output back as well. Team, let's continue tomorrow then. Release practice. I'll also upload this video as soon as I can tonight. Any questions, please bring it up tomorrow. So team, after I complete this core Java in the fast track, I think I'm going to take about a couple of weeks break as well, team. So that way you'll get plenty of time to go back, watch the videos and practice. I'll be focusing a lot on NEOT in the certification exams. So hopefully you can join those. Okay, thank you everyone. Practice well. See you back in the next sessions. Bye all.